So, welcome to another episode of Web3 Masterminds. This time we have with us, of course, the For Protocol team with Mitch Ranking, and we are joined by the Hololoot team and Maciej.
Yes.
So, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your project.
Right. So, thank you very much for having me. I'm Maciej. I am the COO of Hololoot. I'm currently located in Lisbon, but I'm Polish. And so what we aim for with Hololoot is to bring the world of NFTs to a next dimension using immersive technologies, particularly the technology of augmented reality. So we believe that the world of augmented reality and blockchain kind of go hand to hand together, and we see an untapped potential, and we're working on basically materializing a certain infrastructure there, so people can reap the benefits of what both of these technologies can offer.
Thank you. It sounds very interesting. I'm really looking forward to exploring all the potential that you mentioned. But before, Mitch, would you like to tell us a little bit about For Protocol as well?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Maciej, just to say, I'm really excited to talk to you. And I think NFTs, man, they've got a real place in our future. And I'm looking forward to understanding your views and your deep dive into it. But just from our perspective, what Forward is, it's like the WordPress for Web3. So just like you would have a website where if you wanted to set up a website, you'd go to WordPress and there's a widget library and you can download and really deploy a website without having any technical knowledge or any coding experience. What we do is we provide no-code toolkits for the traditional business world to adopt and utilize the functionality of blockchain technology. And the reason we saw this as a problem that we wanted to solve is that when we look at what's happening inside the blockchain and crypto space, we have a lot of people, we'll chat about it today. We've got certain terminology and things that we utilize in the space. But outside in the real business world, when you talk to your friends, well, certainly mine, if I talk to people that I know, they've got a very limited knowledge about blockchain, about Web3, about what's happening. And there's a real missing point there. So what Forward actually does is it becomes a gateway to blockchain adoption, where it encourages people to come in, download a toolkit, utilize a smart contract in the form of a template, deploy it in their business. There's zero charge to them to actually deploy that. They don't have the long development timelines, and they can test it, try it, see if it works in their application. If it doesn't work, try something else. And that's what we focus on purely. It's just purely on blockchain adoption. And then obviously with companies like yourselves, we integrate and form partnerships where we utilize their functionality to really broaden that whole base and ecosystem and encourage people to come into the space. That's Forward in a nutshell.
Okay, I think I completely agree with you when you said about your friends. My friends from the kind of non-crypto world are not also familiar with the potential and the benefits that this technology can give. So, there's this kind of stigma of looking at crypto people through a lens of maybe distortion, some kind of inaccurate media narrative, when at the end of the day it's just a technology that can be implemented in many ways. And I appreciate what you're doing, and I agree with that kind of best way for mass adoption in my eyes is to provide some kind of a product or in your case a protocol that can be easily used by people, and that kind of where the blockchain is kind of in the background. It's happening kind of naturally in a sense, like without complex technical knowledge or I that's the only way to go, and I feel the same way with augmented reality, if I may kind of continue. Sure. This, or if but maybe Dana, if you have some other
No, I would really like to know how Hololoot is using augmented reality, how it works with NFTs. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So yes, so I do believe in the same kind of paradigm. You know, immersive technologies are not yet widespread and mainstream adopted because they're complex to get into. You know, you know, virtual reality gives you, you know, massive possibilities, but you're very much limited in what you can do. You know, you have to have specialized hardware, and that's just the kind of beginning. You know, the experience itself. It's so I've spent about 6 years now in VR and AR. I was starting off with the kind of first hardware, and I'm kind of the, you know, the weird person who's like trying out the experimental stuff. With I love VR, but I believe it has little chances to go mainstream. So you know, for the last few years, we've kind of switched to augmented reality because you know, simply put, you know, the infrastructure for AR is, you know, is over here. At this point, you know, you have 1 billion devices that are compatible with augmented reality, and you know, the newest kind of the newest generations of smartphones, the ones equipped with LiDAR, they are also kind of setting. They're making the AR experience even kind of more sophisticated and advanced. So you know, with Hololoot, we're trying to, you know, encourage both kind of classical businesses, particularly game dev studios, and blockchain projects, particularly blockchain gaming studios, plus kind of independent individual creators to use our tool set to easily deploy AR you know, experiences without any coding skills. You know, so I do share the same kind of approach as you said. You know, the kind of traditional way to go about things would be to have, you know, a game engine like Unity or Unreal Engine, and you would have to have some kind of a, you know, skill set of, you know, put how to put things together, you know, and it's a kind of interdisciplinary set of skills that you have to have, because you have to know something about 3D modeling, texturing, you know, then you have to know how to code inside of this game engine, you know, then you have to kind of put it all together and you have to distribute it. So that's also, you know, marketing, that's business development, that's customer support, all of that. And, you know, and if you want to bring it to the world of blockchain, you also have to, you know, have skill set in this area, you know, so you have to know how to mint, you know, NFTs that are, you know, compatible with these tools. So it seems like it's an entire kind of set of skills that one should have to, you know, simply put something in AR that is also an AR NFT. So it's not only a 3D model that, you know, is, you know, you can kind of, I mean, you can't print screen it, and you cannot, you know, do the thing that you can do with a 2D NFT. That is the kind of, you know, yeah, why would I own a 2D NFT if I can just copy you know, save it as a 2D image? Like with the 3D AR models, that's a bit more complicated, but still, you know, if you want to create what we're so all of this, I believe, has only makes sense if we kind of create a metaverse that can use these kind of building blocks in a way that brings actual value to people, you know. So with this tool set, we're giving people an ability to create building blocks, but then you know, we are also thinking about going more towards a little bit of being more of a protocol than a layer 3 app. So, you know, in your case, I believe your power, the power of your protocol is that you can invite many actors, many agents, many players, and you can and you tell them, hey, this is our infrastructure, you can build on top of it. Yeah. With us, we are being the kind of adopters of our own protocol at this point. So we're building a layer 3 app. But eventually,
Okay.
what we would like to do is to and by the way, I might have ADHD, so it's kind of hard for me to stop talking. So if you want to if you want to interrupt me, please go ahead. Feel free to do it.
You know what I want you to ask you?
Sure, but go ahead. I think it's very interesting.
I wanted to ask you something here, because I think it's fascinating. Obviously, we all know about 2D NFTs, and now you're talking about the 3D. Give us an example of like a user journey. What does it look like? How do I, as a user, integrate and utilize a 3D NFT in a metaverse, and what would that process look like practically?
Sure. So currently, I would say the metaverse exists either in virtual reality, a little bit in augmented reality, and a little bit in 3D games that are like desktop based, or maybe some of them are on the mobile devices. So you have to have some kind of platform for those 3D NFTs to exist in. The user journey, I guess that's a long answer here, but I can give you the kind of our perspective, how we are looking at this. So
Sure.
I believe that 3D assets are more immersive, and basically you can come up with scenarios that are more advanced than in classical kind of platforms. And in the context of immersive technologies, the concept of a player is also different, because in case of AR, you are the player. Like it's not an avatar that you're interacting through. It's you who is a kind of, you are immersed in a digital world, and you are the actor. So yeah. What we are starting off with is we're working right now, for example, with a project called Cryptopolitan. And what they do is they have a play to earn game where they have 2D assets that kind of interact with one another. So as much as I love the guys and love what they're doing, the kind of battles between heroes are a bit, they require you to implement your imagination to kind of see what's happening, because it's usually just 2D NFTs meeting one another, something is happening, and you have an outcome. And for me, it's not really immersive at this point. So you have a lot of people who are saying, like, blockchain gaming is great because it's redefining the way the kind of profits are distributed between the game studios and the players. But they have complaints that these are not actual games in the sense of AAA kind of Web2 massive budget, projects. So I believe that if you apply, immersive technologies to it, and you can say, okay, so we can actually duel somebody, in the real world using the augmented technology, or you can have your character, because there's kind of levels to how we want to implement this AR metaverse. So at first, we take the assets from the game and we turn them into digital trophies that you can collect and you can keep in your room as kind of a digital extension of your actual physical living area. So this is kind of most basic, simple way to go. Then what we want to do is we want to take these assets and to create simple play to earn games where these characters and use the same weapons that you would have in the games, and we use the immersive technologies to kind of have a duel happening in your actual living area, where you can actually using procedurally generated algorithms, you can kind of turn your table into a battleground, which the battleground will be different depending on the area that you scan and the shape of your living room, and so on and so forth. And then the next step is to actually implement geolocation to this, so you can actually move through the city or
so what you're talking about here is your actual living environment.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Versus a completely synthetic environment that you have in virtual reality.
Yeah.
So if you want to immerse yourself in virtual reality, you know, when it comes to immersion, VR is the best because it completely detaches you from actual reality. It completely replaces the actual reality with synthetic reality. The problem is we are not just minds that can absorb this and be okay with it. We are also, you know, physical, biological beings, and it gets tiresome after a while.
Yeah.
And you know, at a certain point, you have to take the goggles off and you know, feed the cats or do the laundry, and so it's complicated to integrate it in a kind of smooth way, I would say. So with AR, you know, you still have access to the actual reality, but instead of replacing it, you're kind of enriching it with a digital layer on top of it. You know, so if you want to, you know, you can actually use immersive technologies, but you can also stay connected to what's going on around you. You know, and you know, with VR, for example, this kind of last stage, I was saying that you can walk around the city, explore the city, collect NFTs that are geolocated, or you can, you know, duel somebody who's playing the same game as you, and you're gonna be actually fighting that character, that other player in a sense, you know. So it's just you know, with for example virtual reality, it's very hard to leave your room at this point because it requires you to kind of stay in one place. With AR, we've seen games like Pokemon Go, you know, bringing a lot of people together, exploring cities and so on and so forth. So, for example, I had this idea to do a collaboration with Travala, which is the Web3 kind of alternative to Booking, where we could have NFTs dedicated to each city that, you know, would be a kind of like an airdrop or a mission. So you would have to actually explore the city and then kind of get maybe paid for it, you know, using the NFTs or the tokens that they have. So I believe there's a huge possibility with augmented reality, and what makes it very how blockchain fits into it is, you know, I believe that it's reshaped the business models that were kind of fueling these experiences. So what I'm talking about might be just as well created by Facebook or other kind of classical Web2 giants, but we all know that the profits will not be redistributed to the players. Basically, the players will work for the corporate entity and not get anything in return. So I believe that. Yeah.
So from what I understand, you believe that you know, the metaverse might have more to gain from AR than VR?
I mean, these are different technologies, but I believe that you have to be a hardcore gamer to be in VR. And a lot of hardcore gamers have some restrictions towards VR because those experiences, you know, the kind of normies, in my opinion, won't go into VR, and the hardcore gamers, I think they're gonna stay with the classical devices. This is the obstacle I found when trying to. So this is the obstacle I found when I was trying to.
Hololoot is connecting.
Sorry. I think.
Sorry, I think I might have a lag, so I'm really sure. I'm really sorry if I'm interrupting you.
No, vice versa.
I've actually got a question. So
okay, let me ask this. You know, Hololoot is.
I'm not sure who's having a delay, but it should be better in a moment.
Maybe. Sorry, Mitch, go ahead.
Now, I was going to ask you a question about Traveler and your idea with them. I think it's a brilliant idea because, you know, when you take kids to a different city and you want to explore the city and go and do things, often all they want to do is they just want to be on their phone. And it's very difficult to get them to engage. But if you had an augmented reality built in, almost like a scavenger hunt or whatever it was, a game that they're playing. So if you went to Istanbul and you went to, the Blue Mosque or the Grand Bazaar or the Palace or whatever it was, and there were things to collect, NFTs, 3D NFTs, and it became part of that whole immersive experience. I could imagine that would be very engaging for someone that is, more sort of technical, like children really are wrapped up in that whole world already. So it's very easy for them. And it might be a great way to, as you say, add a layer into that whole travel experience. I think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah. And what Travala is doing well is they also implement blockchain, but it's happening in the background, So in context of Hololoot, you can do the same. And the thing that kind of separates us from, a kind of Web2 entity is that we would like to give the creators a possibility to create these AR experiences kind of on their own. So we don't want to be the company that creates, all of the kind of experiences. We just kind of want to give a few examples and then say, you can also use this technology on your own, So that's why we build this cloud service where you can upload 3D models, and deploy it automatically to augmented reality without any coding.
Okay.
And we gradually want to expand it, So at the end of the first quarter, we want to add the possibility to actually, sell and buy AR NFTs that you have created on your own, So we have a minting service that you can that at this point we're using the minting service, but we want to open it up to everybody else. This is where we also are working with Engine on this. And so once you mint it, this is being automatically sent into AR. You don't have to do anything to have it in your living area. And this is kind of the state of things in the kind of second quarter of this year. And then the next layer would be to add a possibility to drop this AR NFT that you have minted onto a map, so other people can actually
find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
that's funny. It's actually very similar to what we're doing. So you're basically building infrastructure.
Yeah.
And essentially what Forward does is we build infrastructure. So we're seeding the smart contract template library in Forward Factory with 5 smart contracts, which are, usable in lots of different scenarios. But we don't prescribe the way you should use it in your business. You decide your own fees, and it's template driven, where you can just tick a little checkbox and decide your fees, the rewards, et cetera, your branding, and whatever you want in your environment. And it sounds like a very similar type of thing that you do in the AR NFT space, which is really great. Would I be correct in saying that?
No, I completely agree with you, and maybe we can also find some sphere to collaborate. Because, for example, if we open up the kind of, so the vision for the AR metaverse, except for this kind of location-based things, is to also build a platform for AR games, mini games to start with, to be built on. So, for example, we can have a template for a tower defense game or a board game, like maybe some kind of a ship is flying in the augmented realities and is fighting some kind of you have to fight something, so or a kind of like an escape room adventure games. So there's we would like to create some kind of like templates for creators and game designers to kind of use it, and then also wrap it up in play to earn mechanisms, because I think that's essential to the growth in this space. So maybe this is a sphere where forward protocol could kind of step in to be like, hey, you can deploy this cool AR game, but you can also deploy a smart contract behind it, which will be fueled by your token, your project's token, or the project's NFTs, so that's kind of the vision that we have.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, because Forward it's open source, so we're going to encourage third party developers to come and build smart contracts and integrate it. So there's definitely a lot of synergy there. And just tell me a little bit more about the NFTs and the functionality of it, because that's the bit that I'm really interested in. Is obviously, up to now, NFTs have been quite sort of one-dimensional pictures where content creators have utilized them to, sell or buy, exchange art and what have you. But I think we're going into an area where they're going to be upgradable, and you can do like mass, bulk minting, etc., and that type of thing, where it becomes more of a functional NFT with a utility. So, can you tell me a little bit about the utility behind Holo and what you guys are doing and how you bring that to the market?
Sure. So the way I see it is that we have two layers. We have the visual layer, which is a 3D model that is compatible with the AR tech. And then we have the NFT. And in regards to the NFT, we are creating our own format. And that's why we've also joined the Blockchain Game Alliance to see, where the industry is moving, because I believe there's no kind of one format for NFT metadata. I believe, and this is, also a research that they've done, and I've talked to some projects, and it seems like some projects are, of course, they're utilizing 721 or 1155, but they have some kind of project-specific metadata. For example, I talked to this studio called Plutonians, and they're creating a game where you fly a spaceship through cosmos, and they have utilities inside of the NFT, which defines the kind of velocity at that the spaceship is flying with, or the size of the spaceship, the kind of different functionalities. So what we are looking forward to is kind of integrating with different projects and see what is unique and specific about each project and what can be kind of standardized. But I believe that in the context of kind of what we're doing specifically, I think what we really strive for is to achieve this kind of vision of a multiverse, which maybe is not the best term from a scientific perspective, but what it means in the blockchain context is, you have these kind of islands, different games, different projects, and we also would like to find a way to bridge these projects together. So for example, if you have CryptoBlaze, you have some assets that are used in that game, we would like to also take these assets out and maybe send them over to a different project, or maybe you can use the character that you're using in game as an avatar in a VR project, or maybe if you go around and if you participate in a hunt, treasure hunt, AR NFT location-based AR treasure hunt, then maybe you can collect a sword and then you can later on fight with in the game.
Magic, let me ask you, how far away do you think we are from that interoperability?
It's very hard to say. I'm really looking forward to what Engine is doing with Affinity. So they're going to be launching in March this year. We'll see how Polkadot will actually, how their promise of a cross-chain solution will actually be delivered. What kind of a quality service will that be? I'm curious to see what Affinity will do in the blockchain gaming sphere. But I think the kind of more actors are working on different projects, but they also meet together and discuss about, as I said, what is specific to your project, what is unique to your project, but also where do we see the kind of, what kind of data has to be standardized. This is something that has to be actually worked through. So you have this curve of new technologies adoption. It's I forgot the think tank's names, but basically it's Gartner's hype cycle. So what they say is that you have this kind of peak of expectations, inflated expectations that is not backed by any kind of scientific research, technical stuff. Is just pure kind of, whoa, Lambo thinking, like moon thinking, so that happens, and then it breaks apart, and then everybody's like, yeah, so AR is dead, VR is dead, but this is actually the moment where people who are kind of persevered, they sit down and they start to think, okay, what can we do to make this a technology that is ready for mainstream adoption, and so on and so forth. So in case of blockchain, I'm not sure where we are, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, but with VR and AR, both of these technologies, I think they have reached the peak, and they are in the kind of plateau of stabilizing and standardizing. So I think the future is actually in front of us. The big, so the biggest brains working on this are obviously in the corporate research centers. I'm talking about the big, 5, like Facebook, Google, so on and so forth. That these companies are spending, $20-50 billion per year on R&D to kind of sort these problems out. And I believe that Mr. Zuckerberg said somewhere around 5 to 10 years for AR. So if you mix it up with blockchain, it's hard to say, but at the same time,
could be a while. I mean, it depends on the rate, I suppose, of technology and how it comes about. But I think like what we try to think about is to start with the user in mind, because the tech, with smart guys and things, it's actually, you can build just about anything if you've got a budget. But to make it simple enough for a user to actually embrace and to use and to utilize the functionality is actually really difficult. And you think about how just in your world now with NFTs and what have you, how people's attention span is just so, it's so strained and fragmented because there's so much coming at them. So they don't know which way to turn. Like, do you use this, do you use that? And you end up going down these rabbit holes, and it becomes so overly complex that people just back out. Yeah. And I think that's been an experience for many, many people. And it's something that we think about a lot at Forward is, how do we make this so simple that within 2 or 3 steps, someone can download a smart contract, deploy it, and utilize it? It's got to be that easy, because I honestly, like we said, most of the people we talk to, they don't want to learn about blockchain. They don't want to learn about smart contracts. They just want to know, can it do the job? And does it do it better than what I'm using? And if we can get that functionality, to them in a very user-friendly way. And I think that is our challenge. So
I agree with you.
You agree? I mean, technology is there. We're going to have brilliant technology. We've got lots of people chucking a lot of money at it.
It has to be streamlined to the max.
Got to be streamlined.
Yes, I agree with you. And the only way to go about it is to kind of come up with your own concepts for it and then give it to people and say, is it good or not? Are you satisfied using it or not? So
that's the acid test. If the user likes it and they use it, then you know that you're onto something. If they don't, then it doesn't matter.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree. So we're betting that our vision is good enough. Yeah. But I'm not really sure if that is the case. Of course I can make propaganda here and say that, but at the end of the day, we will see. We will be releasing the kind of suite of products to the creators. So to the innovators and kind of like early adopters, and we will see how it plays out in their hands. So the kind of basic process is that you have a 3D model. Look, with 2D, it's quite simple right now because pretty much everybody has agreed upon a standard of the format of the picture. So it's either a JPEG, PNG, maybe, it's very simple to generate 2D content basically, and it's very kind of, everything is very compatible, and there are forces working, both corporate, Web 2 and also Web 3, kind of decentralized. Both of these kind of worlds are working to create the same kind of format for 3D models. So I believe this could be GLTF or GLB. It's going to be this format will be the kind of default for the 3D. So format, let's say let's say that can be sorted out within a couple of years. Now, how do you create a 3D model? If you want to create 2D content, you basically take a picture or you draw something in Photoshop or other kind of like software. With 3D is a little bit more complex. You have to have, skills how to create a 3D model, but there's also a huge space for scanning, especially with the kind of lidar equipped devices. There's a lot of things that you can do.
Yes.
And I think that's going to be easier and easier with time.
Yeah, it'll actually accelerate it a lot. So with that in mind, thinking ahead now in your industry and what you're doing, and the industry as a whole, trying to sort of break open that space, what are the bottlenecks? What are the things that are hindering you at this point in time?
Well, I'm glad that you asked this. There's two things I would say. The input, the very kind of beginning of interacting with our infrastructure is the 3D content generation. So it's not yet as simple as just tapping a button, taking a picture, bah, you have it. It requires some kind of an effort, but I think there's more and more people who are actually, able to create these 3D objects. And if you're not, you can also flip it, buy it from somebody else who did it. There's a lot of people who are doing it for a low cost. So this is the kind of one bottleneck that I'm looking at, and I'm not sure how it's going to affect the entire kind of process. We'll see about that. And the second thing that is really driving me insane a little bit is the fact that to have an AR experience, you have to the device has to know what is the shape of the living area that you're interacting with. Is this a table? Is this a flat surface? Is this 2 meters by 2 meters? Is this 10 meters by 10 meters? Especially with the kind of procedurally generated experiences, this is key. So right now what we have is cameras or LiDAR devices, and they're kind of checking how far is the kind of how far is the light traveling, and they're kind of creating this shape out of it. It's called a point cloud. So this is the kind of infrastructure that the AR world is relying upon. And right now, the only way for it to happen is to launch it, scan it, but then the data is being forgotten, is being removed, basically. It's being deleted. So imagine taking a picture, but it gets removed after you take it. It's really annoying for the user. So there's also, corporate big brains working on this, Google, Microsoft, and what they do is you scan the area and the point cloud is being saved to the cloud. So when you open up the phone again, it remembers your living area. Okay. Right? So you don't have to scan it each time. It knows what is the shape of your living area. But this data is stored on the server.
Okay, cool.
So you can imagine what.
Yeah. So can I assume then that like the general map? So if you think about your city, you've got streets, museums, parks, football stadiums, all that type of thing. Would that be general data that is saved? And then if you were doing a treasure hunt, for example, and you went out into the real environment, you could interact with that VR world or AR world.
Yeah.
And then you would have to scan your individual living space and then input it into that cloud point.
Yes, I mean, that's a very good point. And what we will be doing in this regard is we will be combining the open source data available from the 2D maps, and then kind of fine tune the result with local scanning. But again, we have the same obstacle. Let's say you take your children to do a treasure hunt around the city, but the device doesn't know the precise kind of shape of the building that you're looking at. It only knows kind of 2D GPS coordinates that you are here. But let's say that you want to, make an experience that something is sticking out of a window of a particular building. So you have to have this point cloud of this building in place. But, if it's not stored somewhere, you have to do.
How do you reference it?
That's why there's a huge kind of arms race in the corporate with the corporate entities to have this 3D AR map of the world. Because you have once you have it scanned, then you can kind of use the real world as a playground for your experiences. And of course, with corporate entities, it's going to be limited to the product suite of each given corporate entity. So let's say if Facebook is first to scan the entire world by saying, look, I think in this context, the idea of decentralization can be beautifully implemented. So you can say, hey, you live in Lisbon, you live in Paris, you live in Berlin, you are an early adopter of Hololoot. We give you a possibility to basically scan your city, and in return, you can get tokens, So this can be like a play to, scan to earn mechanism.
That's cool.
And you decentralize it to thousands of people to kind of co-create this map with you. This is, by the way, what probably Niantic did with Pokemon Go in reality. It wasn't about finding silly Pokemons. It was more about feeding the kind of super servers architecture with this data from all over the world. So they have it. They have scanned the world in a sense. What they're gonna do with it, it's yet to be explored. But see, this is the thing. I was even talking to this about this topic with I'm not sure if I can disclose it, but we haven't really came to any conclusion, so I might say it as well. I was talking to a Chainlink about this. So how can we make sure that this point cloud, so for example, I have scanned my my street. How can I make sure that this work that I've done is saved temporary forever, kind of and if you come to my street, and if you want to participate in the AR experience that I have created for you, for example, how can you access this the same kind of data? And this is where I believe maybe there's a possibility for the blockchain technology to be implemented, because it's the same way as you have tokens that are traceable, that are kind of, it's impossible to tinker with it. It's there and it's safe. Maybe the same technology can be implemented for this kind of technological obstacle. But this is something that even Chainlink told me that they don't know what to do with it. So of course we're not going to be able to reach it with our kind of small dev team and the couple mil that we have from the funding. It's out of the reach for us, but maybe hopefully in the future we can kind of also look into that project. I think it's a very interesting sphere to look into, because if we don't do it in a decentralized way, the corporate entities will do it in a centralized way. Next thing you know, in a couple of years, you're going to open up your wardrobe and you're going to have an AR ad sticking, there's going to be a new suit waiting for you in your wardrobe. And I'm not even kidding. Might be 5 years, might be 10
really,
years.
really fascinating.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask something. We've talked a lot about the infrastructure, the technology. I would like to ask something about the use cases, because technology is only as good as the purpose that you use it for. And with VR, AR, there are many, Hololoot is, I think, from what I understand, is targeting the game space right now, the gaming space right now. But I feel like there's a whole other world of possibilities there. For example, education, and me having like a psychology background. There are a lot of trials that have been done with VR and AR for treating psychological trauma and implementing the technology in the therapeutic process. So I'm just looking to see what you see on the use cases. What are you more interested and intrigued by? What do you think is the best way to utilize, or a variety of ways that we can utilize this?
No, I completely agree with you. We're targeting gamers and gaming because that was the kind of main trend of last year, and I think that's going to continue. Some of the games will kind of die out, but some of those games will persevere, and they have a lot of user base. So tapping into one game can also expose you to, let's say, a couple 100,000, to a million, whatever, millions of gamers. So if you tell them, hey, do you like your 2D NFTs? Yeah. Do you want to see it in AR? Some of them will say yes, and then we can build a business model around it. So we've kind of approached it from a very kind of safe position, thinking that this can be the kind of easiest target of people to be willing to spend a few bucks on some digital trophies, easy to encourage to try a new technology. Already having some gaming NFTs, they spend some time and they invest in this emotionally. So we believe that this is kind of easy group to give them value with what we're doing. But I completely agree with you. I've spent a good portion of my life also trying to come up with educational projects, but maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I am living in Lisbon right now, so I might be just fine with it. But in Poland, there's focus on in the educational sector there's a lot of focus on nationalist history and maybe quasi-scientific approach to life and so on and so forth. So I was also I was trying to sell VR and AR tech in an educational sector that is just basically backwards, and there's no space for that. So, but we did dabble with some prototypes, immersive technologies can simulate real world scenario in a safe and engaging and fun way. So for example, I was for a moment I was looking for a VR experience which exposes children to other children being bullied. So in VR it's great to actually become somebody else, so you can put yourself in the shoes of a woman or as a child or an elderly person, or you can be in Mecca, for example, and in Poland that's it's complicated, so that's the beauty of VR. With AR, I think it's just, look, I'm also a silly person, so I have a cat that I really love. She's sleeping right now, so you're not gonna see her, but I still remember. I'm also 30, so I do remember some old school stuff. So I know that in Microsoft Word, for example, you would have this little I'm not sure how to translate it. This clipper entity,
yes,
like a digital helper, So I think you can also kind of look. Kids go crazy with AR. I shown this to my kind of 5-year-old, my brother's son, who's like 5 years old. He got the technology like this. I didn't have to instruct him how to interact with holograms. Exactly. He was like, yeah, that's kind of cool, So, so if you put characters in this kind of technology that are maybe helpers or assistants, or because please keep in mind that there's also AI being developed that will interact with the newest generation in a sense, and this AI should be wrapped in a kind of way that children can trust and can benefit from, because this tech at the end of the day should be a servant to the newest generation, not a master. So I can see a lot of usage for this, where you don't have to listen to your teacher or your parent. You can listen to your favorite kind of character from a movie or a game that you really look up to, and you can create experiences around it that are beneficial for the child, and that kind of prepares them for a new frontier where the digital and the biological will kind of intertwine. So it might be a woo-woo vision, but I do believe there's also potential for that. One of the tech demos that we did was for children who had an issue with I forgot the name of this condition, but it could have been dyslexia. And you would have tasks to do that probably the child would have felt asleep with doing it in the classical world, like filling out some and in this context, they would have to like participate in for example, like a treasure hunt. So there was this like a troll character that was this silly, goofy, teacher at the end of the day, because it was giving the child some assignments to do, and then that child would have to participate in a treasure hunt and learn some kind of rules of how to improve the state of the dyslexia that they're struggling with, so I believe there's a this immersive technology can do a lot of good things because it's simply fun to do, and it's just very engaging. Yeah,
100%.
It just has to be used by people who have the ethical kind of background and expert knowledge. So the world of tech and the kind of educational experts has to come together.
Yes, that's a very valid point. And I would also like to ask you this question, because VR, immersive technologies have also been, somewhat accused sometimes that they might disconnect people from the real world. What is your take on this? Do you think that there's a real,
so I ran a VR stand back in the day. Me and my business partner, we were like working in a shopping mall 7 days a week, 12 hours. We had exposure to a lot of people, different age. We had a age limitation, which at that point was unknown. Can a child use this or not? There was no standards for that. So we set the level at age of 12, which, to be honest, could have been maybe too little. Maybe we should have gone for 16. I'm not sure. We were also trying to make a few bucks, to be very honest. It was complicated times. But anyway, some parents came over and they were like, yeah, he's gonna be fine. And there was like a 5-year-old child, and I'm like, I mean, it's, and the mother was like, yeah, he's gonna have so much fun. Don't worry about it. He's a bright kid, just give him the. So I was like, well, I mean, okay. And so I did that. And we had a VR version of Minecraft. And to be very honest with you, when I first interacted with this as an adult, to see the kind of trees in Minecraft in real world scale and see like a little a sheep or a pig, coming through you and looking at you, and you can reach out with your hand, and it's intense, man. So this child kind of put this headset on, and it was like, yay, and it started running because it thought it's in that kind of VR world. Unfortunately, it was plugged, the cable was still kind of plugged to the headset, and there was a TV that was showing the footage from this game, and it ran into the TV and crashed onto it, and so it was a safety hazard. But the kind of interesting part is that the child was like kind of disoriented what happened after this little accident, but it didn't want to go back to reality. It actually wanted to put the headset back. So shit, crazy. Like it's
crazy.
Yeah, we will still have to see what's gonna come out of this. That's why I believe maybe AR is less hardcore, because you still have access to actual reality. It doesn't really take you completely out. Okay. It's a complicated topic.
For sure. Okay, I think our time has run out, but I personally have loved everything I've heard. I've actually learned so much, and I would really like to thank you for being so insightful. And as a last comment, that's an interesting question that I did before, and I would like to repeat it. If you had to connect blockchain to one word, what would it be? If you had to describe blockchain with just one word, what would it be?
It's gonna be really cliche, but I do believe in decentralization as the key element of blockchain. It's hard for me to come up with something more inspiring. I am a dude who's interested in how the tech is affecting the daily life. So for me, decentralization and power are kind of key elements of blockchain, and this is the kind of my main driving force in it. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you
so much for listening.
answering all our questions.
Yeah, Maciej,
It has been a true pleasure.
Yeah, it's been amazing chatting to you, man. Really, really amazing chatting to you. Good luck with the project. It's so interesting, and you're doing some great work. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening. It was a lot, I guess, but yeah, you've been great listeners, so I really do appreciate it. And also all the best with your project. I hope we are able to stay in contact in some regards. And yeah, good luck with what you're doing.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thanks, Maciej.
Thanks. Take good care.
Ciao.